time for another round of Brandy. Candid conversations over cocktails about all things brand. With your hosts, Reilly Newman and Scott Saunders, the brand developers behind Motif Brands.
Hey there, and welcome back to another round of Brandy. And if you know Scott and I, you know we are both avid Apple users. And Scott, in your iPhone settings, are you light mode or dark mode?
I am a dark mode.
So am I. I've fully converted over to dark mode.
But the only app that I don't like in dark mode is my email app. And the reason being is that when people send, even friends that have like HTML formatted signatures and stuff, all of a sudden the email will go to that, and it's sometimes very hard to read.
Yeah. No,
and I've even seen like people send spreadsheets as an attachment or something like that, and I'm looking at the email and it looks super weird because it's against a black background. So for me, I prefer my emails to be in white like paper.
Yeah.
But my browsing mode, my OS. I'm not really in. I mean, yeah, I guess I'm in dark mode on my laptop as well. I'm more of a dark mode guy, but there's a couple apps that I can't do it reversed like that.
Well, and I ask you that because our episode today is all about customization and personalization, and on all of our iOS devices, and if you're not Apple on your phone or computer,
I'm sure
every
app, every platform probably has that option now. It's so popular.
And really, they've been leaning into it more and more now. On my home screen for my iPhone, I don't even have the app names on there. I've made this thing completely just fully custom to how I like it.
Yeah.
And I've really liked that they've been leaning into that. And that's actually a huge advantage for brands, leaning into allowing customers to customize. And that actually came to mind because I recently went to my first Build-A-Bear workshop.
Oh, how cute!
I made a bear. No, I'm joking. I didn't.
Right? Did you go get a bear? Did you pick out a bear?
I didn't make one for myself, but my 9-year-old and my 6-year-old.
Yeah, just so you know, by the way, Reilly is a girl dad, so he's got two beautiful, very talented girls.
I'm overpowered,
but they're young, and so he is the expert in the office for anything Disney animated movies, any of those like brands and products that are geared more towards girls and stuff like that, whereas I'm a dad of boys who are now men, so boys to men. So that's the differences between us. I have all boy experiences as a dad. Reilly's all girl, and so you went and build a bear.
Yeah, and it was my first time. And I remember growing up, and we lived near a large mall, and there's a Build-A-Bear in there. I just never went in. It was never an interest.
It's not a new thing.
It's been around. And so I go in there. My girls are super excited because their generation super into it. And I'm like, I'm going to observe this. This is really fascinating because right away there's signage. It's like, choose me, dress me, and it's like, stuff me. And it's all these steps along the way where the kids go from place to place. The employees are all interacting with them. It's very Disney-esque.
How many empty, I want to say sacks, but essentially the bear, like
the skin.
How many different skins did they have?
There's probably like 20.
So about 20 different skins that you could choose.
Right.
And different sizes, right?
Yeah, you can get these
small,
super
medium,
big
large.
Ones. Yeah, and then they had different characters and some IP. So right now, Stitch is a big IP from Lilo and Stitch. So they had that as like a special one. And so you pick out the skin, and then the employee takes you over, and you go, okay, time to stuff it. And my daughter went over, and she rigs it up, and then the employee lets the kids step on the pedal that then pushes the stuffing from the kind of the center.
It looks like a cotton candy machine.
Candy.
It's like spinning around, right?
And it fills it up, and then I'm just watching this. I'm like, this is really interesting. And she takes it off the thing, gives it to my daughter, and goes, okay, give it a test cuddle.
Hug.
Yeah, and see if you want it fluffier, if you want it more hard, or if it's just right, or if you want some stuffing taken out. And so right now, again, going off the customization of this, is that they're allowing the customer, my daughters, be able to customize the product. It's not just buying a bear off the shelf anymore. It's literally they're being able to tailor this thing to how they like it.
Yeah.
And what I found interesting is that both my daughters didn't edit the
standard.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they went with what they already did. They were good with it. And then they get to go over and they get a little heart. And then the kids, and there's adults in there too, but you make a wish on this little, I think it's made of felt. It's like a little felt heart. And then you make a wish, and you don't tell anyone the wish, and you put it inside the bear.
Okay.
And then they sew it up. And you can pay extra and put a little voice box in it, and you can record a voice or a song that they have.
That's cool.
And then you get to go pick out, at the next step, you pick out, shoes for a backpack.
So clothing and accessory for the bear or the toy.
And of course, it's just going cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching as you're going.
and you, of course, as the good dad, are just going, yeah, have at it, girls.
Smiling and nodding.
Okay. Take out another, another second mortgage on the house.
And I have to refinance for Build-A-Bear. Yeah. And the final step, which is brilliant, right above the cash register, it says, "Take me home." So all along through this experience, they have personified the bear and given it this me, language. And now instead of buy me or pay, it's take me home. And so then I'm just observing this. I'm watching people go in and out, watching the kids go in. And then what's so cool about it, you almost get like this birth certificate of your bear. You get to name it. They do how many ounces it was, the height of the bear.
Yeah.
And then they almost has like a little.
Do they ask for a name?
Number.
Like, is there?
Yeah, you get to name it.
So they had to name it on the site. It wasn't something like, okay, let me think of the name. And
no. So then you name it, and then you get the certificate. It comes in this little box and all this stuff. It's a great, really thought out experience. But what I found interesting about it was that you not only had the customization aspect of it, but you had the personalization where even just the wish that you're putting into the bear.
Yeah.
For my daughters, it was a big deal. Like it's literally this, because I was like, okay, what was that part? And I'm driving them home and I'm talking to them about it. And just the way they're talking about it and reflecting on it, it was super special to them. And they're like, Dad, I can't tell you the wish. Like
you can't do it.
Yeah.
Only me and the bear know, because so he knows what's up and I know what's up, but you can't.
And it's like this very obvious increase in value where these bears, these stuffies, are so much more valuable than the other stuffies that they've purchased just off the shelf. Where, we paid more for it, but it means more to them.
Yeah. And similar story, but mine was a little more geeky. Went to Disneyland a couple years ago for my birthday and went through the Build a Lightsaber experience in Galaxy's Edge. And I'm a diehard Star Wars fan. And I already had like a really nice one that I had gotten, one of those, the ones that light up, that have the sound effects, all those like, but I kind of donated to one of my boys when they were in their teens. Like, oh, dude, I've had this for a couple, probably 20 years, right?
It was endowed.
But I'd never been able to build a new one, and now the materials and their complexities is changed, right? So it's like $199 for this experience. And you go in there, and I'm in there in this room with about 20 other diehard Star Wars, geeks, guys mostly my age too. We were all reliving our childhood, and it's a very dramatic experience. And they have like they ultimately, you could walk out with, there's 4 different types of hilts for the lightsaber. And each hilt.
What's a hilt?
The hilt is the handle. And then the blade would be the light beam, of a lightsaber. Okay. So the hilt. And they had 4 different types, and it all kind of got down to whether, like, were you as a Jedi, are you more of a protector, are you more of a this? What's your lane you're in, right? Huh. So it's kind of, again, a self-awareness, self-identity, as in a fantasy world of what kind of Jedi Knight would you pick, right? I don't remember. I forget the term for it, but it was more of a protector. It was like honor, loyalty, whatever it was, right?
Guardian.
Defend, right? And in there's the hilt, and the hilts were made up of 3 sections, and each section had 2 different options. So each of the 4 different kinds, you could have 6 possibilities. So that was 24 different options of different hilts that would be created when you walked out of that experience of people with a unique lightsaber in hand. And then there was 3 different basically light stones. They're basically a computer chip that gave the blade its color, and it was either red, blue, or green. So that gives you a total of 74 options. Talk about customization, right? Similar with the bear. 74 different options that for $199, you're custom making a lightsaber. It was a fun experience, and I love it because I feel like this thing is mine, and I ended up getting a couple extra, the little chips so that I could change the blade color. Yeah. Like I said, I'm a geek.
The crazy thing about this is that even, I talk about Build-A-Bear this, and Scott's talking about, lightsabers that, and what I find so funny about it is that they could have easily just had these products on display. You go up, you pick it off the shelf, and you buy it. But they actually take the product, they're dismantling the products, laying it out, and then allowing the customer to come in and go, okay, you put it together, right? You do the work instead of the factory.
Yeah.
You put it together. You can do it the way you want it. We'll give you this many different combinations. That makes sense, logistically, so that they can at least have this thing, be efficient. But just by doing that, you're putting your fingerprints on it. You're putting, your identity into it, and it's actually a reflection of you, and you're able to create this thing. Yeah. And there's actually there's a cognitive bias that's called the IKEA effect, and of course it's named after IKEA because IKEA makes you put all their stuff together when you buy it. And so with
the instructions you can't really read,
you have to figure it out.
You got to figure it out.
It's a bit of a puzzle, but the whole point is that we take ownership in the things that we actually put together, and that we go, okay, I'm going to put this on, this way, do it this way. And this is also part of, the whole Lego empire as well, is that Lego, there is a sense of ownership after you build one of the sets where you're like, there's pride in that. There's this ownership. And Build-A-Bear obviously taps into that. The Lightsaber taps into that. And there's many other brands that have leveraged this where allowing or giving options of customization allows the customer to do that, whether that's Starbucks or Chipotle or Subway or even frozen yogurt.
I'll be honest with you. What about and this isn't something new. It makes me think of for instance, when you order a pizza, right? Oh, I'm going to customize my pizza. And you list your ingredients, right? Well, that's a different experience than when you go through, let's say, one of those, like Pieology, or one of those where they basically will make your pizza and you can go down the line like you would at Subway and tell them what toppings. Can I have a little bit more of that? Can I have just a few olives on it? Or can I have extra olives? Whatever it is. And they keep dumping on you. They're looking at you, waiting, kind of like when someone, at a restaurant brings you Parmesan cheese and they put a batch on you. Keep looking at them going, no, keep going, buddy. You're going to be here a long time.
Yeah, that is a good point. It's kind of like these different layers based off of a rabbit trail that's a little bit in the service realm of DIY, which is do it yourself, obviously, and then there's do it with you, and there's do it for you. So these are kind of different layers to servicing that does bleed into kind of these experiences that you can enjoy, where you can have a guide, like during the Build-A-Bear or the Build a Lightsaber, where there's someone kind of guiding you along the way. Or in the Subway or Chipotle examples, that you're working with the employee on co-creating the product to your liking. So it has your preferences mixed in there, and you're also customizing based off of your preferences.
Now, question though, we hear the term personalization a lot, right? Uh-huh. There is a difference between, in our eyes, when it comes to brand, I think, right, between personalization and customization.
Yeah. So a good way to think of it is, with customization, the brand is offering different toggles or options that are available to the customer to then customize it to their liking. So like on your phone or computer, you can switch between light mode, dark mode. You can change this, change that, change the font or whatever it is. Personalization is when the brand tailors the experience to the person or the customer. So they already know ahead of time, there's information, there's been a trade-off before then, or an algorithm that's guessing based off of the demographic or the buyer. This can also be then fed from, maybe a previous customization. They go, oh, Scott's come to, Starbucks before. This is his drink. We know he likes this. Okay, this is it. Boom. Yeah. And it comes out that way. And so there's different levels to this, but also when you personalize something, that's also another layer too, where that's what Starbucks has been leaning into, where you're personalizing the cup by writing the person's name on it, right?
Yeah.
There's just a little bit of signatureness to it. So, starting with customizations like that alone, if a brand's able to either deconstruct a product or a process and allow the customer to have a little bit of say on how they put it together, how they kind of leave their fingerprints on it, there's this co-creation process where you do get that IKEA effect. And that really just leans into more of, like we mentioned before, is the whole experience economy. Is that you just took a teddy bear or you took a lightsaber, a product, it's a good, and you just made it into an experience.
Yeah.
Because you broke it down and you allowed them to have a say in how it's done.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because a lot of times, let's say you're shopping for a new car. Well, what we usually do is go down to the dealership and we will look at what they have on the lot. We'll test drive, and they might have 4 that are in the lane we like. And we go, oh, we love this one. Oh, and this one comes with this trim package, and this one it's in that color. They got the navy. Okay, well, and a lot of times you buy on the lot what is made available. But a lot of people forget that you can go to the dealership and actually customize what trim package, They're other in other words, basically ensure that you're making the car first and having it sent to the dealership. ARC Motorcycles, motorcycle company owned by Keanu Reeves, does that, where you can't go into an ARC dealership and just drive off with a motorcycle. They will have a demo there that you can see, you can sit on, you can see the bike, but they don't have any for sale. What you end up doing though is they'll take your measurements. They will customize this. All of their motorcycles are order made, custom to the buyer.
Right. If ARC isn't allowing you to go, okay, I want this trim, I want this color seat. If you're not the one inputting that versus, I think on their site they kind of refer themselves as like tailors, right?
Yeah.
Where just like a tailor.
Yeah, like a tailor's. I'm going in for custom suit.
Hey, this will look good on you. I suggest this. You're this size. Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. They are doing it, and they're personalizing it for you, right? You're still sitting back and enjoying the experience because wow, they're taking in all my information. They know more about me. They are now tailoring this in product for me, right? So then when you get on that bike, it's like that thing probably feels a lot better. And then there's this also probably majority placebo effect of this thing is better because you're like, this is mine, right? There's this ownership right away, just like a suit that's designed for you, or or a wedding dress that's designed for
ownership.
Like,
has such a crazy.
It's a lot of power.
There's something about owning something where you literally feel like this is the best of the best.
Yeah,
like. You know, I mean, there's something about it that is just when you have that ownership. So even signaling, for a brand to be able to signal that the consumer has ownership in what they are acquiring,
it's partly because when we are customizing, it is an expression of ourselves, or it's the promise we make or the wish we make, and we put it in the heart and sew it inside. Where it's like when you are creating something, it's like that's kind of what you're doing. You are kind of, you're putting yourself into this. You're expressing your preferences of, I like this stitch color, this stain, and you're kind of putting yourself out there, right? And then you're being kind of reaffirmed by the company to go, oh yeah, that's possible. Don't worry about it. We'll do that, right? Yeah. That's okay. And then you're able to then, continue on and actually then enjoy it. And it's taken that from a transaction to now this relationship with the product, because now there's meaning, there's story built in there. There is this like ownership, and that's then like you do get that sense of pride. You get that sense of, that this is part of me. It's reflecting my identity. And even like, heck, even at In-N-Out, it's like I do the whole grilled onion. I think you do too.
I do. I try to change it up every time, but yeah, I always I got to go extra pickles.
Whenever I tell someone,
I always got to do
like,
extra pickles on my In-N-Out.
Oh yeah, no, it's like in the crunch, and also sometimes we do like extra lettuce because I like it crunchy or whatever. Yeah. But I'll always do a whole grilled onion, and even if the worker knows, if they know they like that too, I always get like this, like they'll look at me. We have a kinship because we both go, oh yeah, that's the only way to do it now is to get a whole grilled onion. Like you have to.
You're going there a little too often if the guy automatically knows, oh, that's Mr. Newman and he likes whole grilled onions. So I'll already start your order for you, Mr. Newman.
If that ever happens, I'm gonna have many health issues before then.
I feel like we are always preaching the benefits of limited offering or services or freight, positioning things in ways that allow specialization of your product or service can help a brand. But now we're talking about, we're not trying to encourage people to necessarily go from 7 products to 19 products, because all of a sudden we've got to somehow introduce customization. That's not necessarily what we're talking about. I think it's finding, you know what I mean?
Well, it doesn't.
Or am I off?
I think it's not expanding the amount of offerings, but you're still keeping the focus. It's like Build-A-Bear. Build-A-Bear is Build-A-Bear. Like it's not build a pillow or whatever you want. It's like
build a pillow. That would actually, because to go in and get a pillow just right. That would be. Like, I think there's soft, medium, and hard, and that's it. But yeah.
But it's like they stick within their lane. Yeah, the skins change and they might have different IP, but it's not, they started expanding to everything that is fillable with stuffing, right? And so that's, the focus is there. You get it.
Yeah.
But the depth of that, and that's kind of like what Joe Pine talks about in the experience economy, is that the customization of a good leads to a service, and then the customization of a service leads to an experience. And being able to dive further into that customization where you're adding depth to the focus, then increases that overall really perception and perceived value.
Where do you think, okay, I think we've talked about personalization or customization in a tangible good, right? That someone's walked away with. How would a brand incorporate some of that stuff in services? And it made me think hypothetically, I don't know why this just popped in my mind when you were talking just now. I was thinking about, let's say I've got a landscaping business, Right. So let's say it's a service business. How would they, if they're listening to us, how would they approach this an issue of customization in a service?
Okay, so well, backing up, so Build-A-Bear, Lightsaber, and frozen yogurt or Subway or Chipotle, where the customer is able to customize the product. That's a customized product that is really leading to this experience, right? At the end of the day, you take home the product, you either eat it, or now you have a bear sitting on the bed. A service, though, a customized service still leads to an experience, but the customized service, to me, the service would be more, sure, you can take an input from the customer, but it's on the service provider, who should be more positioned as an expert at that point, to then customize the service to the customer. So for a landscaper, they go to the property, examine it, start going, okay, hey, we're going to take soil samples. We're going to look at what you're missing in nutrients in your lawn, because that happens, right? Oh, you need more nitrogen, you need more this, whatever. Oh, you have a pool. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at what type of trees and plants you have. You might need this. We're going to look at, and so it's taking in the situation. They're not just going to, because whenever I had landscaping done, it's like they'll just come and do cleanup, or they kind of
mow and blow.
Yeah. It's a very blanket. It's like, you don't even know what my house.
But that's why I guess maybe I'm saying not soil samples, but let's say, for instance, let's use just a guy that's got a simple mow and blow, right? Business. So it's cutting lawns, and it's cutting back hedges, and it's pulling weeds. How would someone adapt that unless they're able to rather than just saying, I either charge an hour, or this is what we charge and we'll come. How often do you want it? Once a month, twice a month? I mean, is that as simple a mode as repetition?
Frequency.
Okay, so that is an element of customization that signals and resonates with the consumer.
Yeah, and it could depend on, like, again, okay, how in depth of a service do you want? Do you want trimming? Do you want lawn? So being able to have options like that, but also then frequency and kind of just the the depth of the package.
So any way that even if it's one or two choices, A or B, somehow incorporating that into your brand, in your offering, in your product or your service, or whatever, can greatly resonate well with the audience. It came up into mind because I'm like sitting there going, okay, this works great for product. When we talk about product customization, but when it gets into service, it gets a little tricky. And some sectors are easy about it. Like, for instance, my son is an assistant GM at a fine dining restaurant, and they always, when someone makes a reservation, they ask for allergies, and they make a note, and they actually keep a database of previous people that have made reservations at the restaurant. And then the next time that person makes a reservation, it already brings that loop in, and they're able to respond back, or when they're seated at the table, go, by the way, we noted last time you were here that you're gluten-free. Is that still the case? Or do you have anybody else at your table with you tonight that has that? The fact that that's incorporated catches people by surprise, that they remember, they make note. This brand, this restaurant gets me. They know me. They literally know me,
And then even with that, it's like you do have, okay, you take their information from the initial customization, right? Oh, we're allergic to this, or I'm gluten-free. That's taken into the system. That allows for personalization, which then feeds into that relationship. And that's what I always talk about, is like the lifetime value of that person. It's like you should have that on file and be able to track that, of not just the single dining experience of their transaction, but the lifetime value of that customer or guest. And so even with then understanding, okay, what are the different modes of this customer, of this dining experience that we can offer, where maybe they come for an anniversary, or maybe they come for a birthday or graduation, or maybe they come for lunch, right? Those are different modes by which they're buying and experiencing it. Yeah. And going back to the landscaping, it's like, that's the same thing. It's like, if you could offer different modes, you have seasonality for one. So, okay, maybe during the winter you enter this mode where you kind of downshift. We don't need to do as much, but we will do some upkeep or whatever, right? And so you're able to offer these different modes that flex and change, and really reflect the seasonality, reflect kind of these customizations that are designed for the customer, right? And that's what we're trying to do here, is create this co-creation process, because if you can do that, they're not just buying that one-time transaction. Now the customer has invested in the relationship. They've invested in designing this, right? A little bit of the IKEA effect, where they're going, yeah, this is my experience. So now they're that much more invested. And that leans into sunk cost bias and things like that, where now they've put some skin in the game, and they're going, this is for me. This is, I have ownership in it, but also now I'm invested in it.
Yeah.
I've put time and energy into it.
Yeah.
And, this does go into everything from, like Scott said, hotel check-ins, right? Last time I checked into a hotel, my name popped up on the TV. And it's simple, right? It's not like the whole room's rearranged with my face everywhere or something. But but it's like, okay,
Phase 2.
It's a nice. That's the next one. That's a nice thing, and that's what Ritz-Carlton's known for, is that they'll take notes on everyone and go, okay, Scott put his robe and slippers on the right side of the thing. His wife put her toothbrush on the left side of the sink.
I'm a big guy. I've yet to find a hotel robe that actually fits me. I put it on and I'm like, I can't even close this. I can't even close the front. And I'm not a fat guy. I'm just big. But I put it on and my arm, it's like the robe come to my elbows, I'm like, what the heck? My wife's like stuck. She's going, oh, I love it. Cause she's like 5 feet. So she's like having and I'm 6'3".
Like a snuggie.
Yeah. 210. And I'm like, this ain't working.
Well, and then, so hotels have been doing it, right? And that's what's funny is that you look at some industries, hospitality. That's why it's called hospitality. Hotels and even restaurants, food, they're, by the DNA of those industries, they are based off of customization and being able to tailor things and make it more about the dining experience. They are guests. That's what Disney brought
Hopefully.
Hopefully. They should be.
There's a lot of brands. And again, why we just side note, asterisk right here, why we always say that so much of your brand is, to me, the human engagement factor, staff training, do your staff, all of your staff know how to properly treat customers, how to respond to various situations, because that is absolutely paramount. Okay.
Right. And so then going, okay, if this is happening in food, happening in hospitality, or it should be, right? This is why now you can customize your Mac on Apple or your iPhone. You get to do these little things to it. But then even on, something as simple as frozen yogurt, where you get to go in and customize this, do your own toppings, and then they change the transaction where you're just paying by weight of the frozen yogurt. So then on the super high end of things, you have things like Rolls-Royce, where you go in and it's this really done up experience where you're picking the material, you're able to touch it, you're able to pick the stitching, you're doing this whole thing where it's a very exclusive, very just how you would expect experience. Like it's extremely.
Sir, you're funneling the Crithian letter a little too much over there.
It's very just like to the T of exclusive. Like it's very, very fancy. And this is actually my argument against Tesla is that so this is going to be a little bit of a thing. So Tesla's theory was that you build a gigafactory and you kick out a bunch of cars based off volume. But I think cars are unique, where cars are increasingly becoming like iPhones and things, where they're an expression of someone's personality. Someone who drives a truck looks like someone who drives a truck.
With Tesla, I've always, how many colors do they make? Because I've only seen, every time I see a Chrysler, but a Tesla, they all look the same.
Well, no, and this is, so this is the whole, watching Elon over the years, ever since 2015 when I first took interest, he's been copying Henry Ford's model of all this, right? Hence why he started off with only so many colors. That's a famous Henry Ford quote, is that you can have any color you want of a Model T as long as it's black. And so, because that was the only color they had, right? And so he positioned Tesla based off the same theory of you make a car and you make it cookie cutter and just kick it out, right? Which that could work in a country like China or something like that, where you have a lot of the same cars. But in America, our car is a huge expression of our personal identities, our narrative. Someone who drives a Subaru looks like someone who drives a Subaru. Someone who drives a truck looks like someone who drives a truck. It's like we're very different here. And so the Gigafactory is based off of hitting this certain point where you hit so much volume where you're just kicking off so many cars. Yet people want customization. So this is why Teslas have become a huge, huge revenue for the people who put skins on Teslas and tinting and all of that. That's become a whole industry in and of itself. It's because there's this desire for it. So anyways, Tesla's hit this point where it's a little bit of, it's saturated the market. And now you have Jeff Bezos, Amazon Jeff, where we
just call him Jeff. Like we know him. We'll just call him Jeff.
I was talking to Jeff the other day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so he is behind this new truck company called Slate. And it's essentially a very simple truck, but completely it's all modules. So the taillights modules, the bumper modules, the inside of it, the dash modules. It even has crank windows.
Oh my gosh.
Everything is. And even
the fact that there'd be no touch screens, that there would just be buttons and knobs, and
it's all modular, it's analog.
Oh my gosh.
But then the cool thing about it is that you're able to then swap out okay, let's say the front dash is a little module right there. You can swap out what you want in there. The front headlights, those are modules, so you can pre-select, I want this popped in there, or maybe down the road you can pop it out and pop in what you want.
Yeah.
Right. So it's very much like what Hyundai and a lot of these brands have kind of tapped into in those markets where people customize. So it's that thing. Slate has blown up, tons of pre-orders, and people are eating it up. But this actually goes off of, I wrote an article about it on LinkedIn about that phone company called Nothing.
Yeah,
they are
you love that,
behind,
man.
which they're Nothing alone is very sexy in the way they're presenting the product and everything and their product design.
Wait, sidebar. Watching Reilly get excited about a new brand they discovers in the office is a joy to watch because you get so excited. You're like a little kid on Christmas. You'll find something new, and then you'll always be giving me these updates like once a week or something. You'll be like, dude, you know that thing, that brand I was telling you about? Look at this. This is cool. And you've been talking about this phone. And I want to see one.
The cool thing about Nothing is that they not only created a sexy higher end phone that's still, I think it's a great competitor for the Apple iPhone market. But under Nothing, they created a sub-brand called CMF. And they essentially created a module phone where everything has little screws. You get a screwdriver. You can order different parts. So on the back of it, you get to unscrew things, pop on different modules, a stand.
It's like the Crocs of...
No, yeah.
Where you get to pop on of cell phones.
And this was, last year or 2023 when they released this. And this is essentially now Slate is the embodiment in the automotive industry of this
model.
And I'm like, this is a huge signal where, okay, the technology is the technology, right? But being able to change out little pieces, customize it on a whim is a huge signal of, I think, a behavioral shift in the market that these brands are seeing that then, you do have some of these bigger brands that will catch on. But I think it's why people put skins on their, gaming controllers or on their
stickers stickers on their laptops.
Yeah, and it's like there's this desire for it. So with that being said, it's like brands are leaning into this, and I think there's a huge opportunity where you can lean into the overall experience economy, creating lifetime value with customers, and like what we were talking about, it's like that relationship of allowing them. You're giving them permission. You're allowing them kind of the ownership of the product in that way. Now,
some brands, right, correct me if I'm wrong, but even there's some brands that are kind of reeling that in, right? A lot of the customization of like, because again, part of, and that's why with anything that we say, we hope that you guys, if you're listening to us, will apply it intelligently to your specific situation, because we don't want people to be like all of a sudden going, well, man, the Brandy guys told me I need to do this in my business or my brand, and this isn't fitting well, or this is not a good fit. And so I think it just comes down to knowing if you can afford to diverse your offerings to create moments of these customizations, or whether you're better off minimizing them. Some brands are kind of reeling that in a little bit and choking out some of the personalization options, right, Reilly?
Yeah, and like even Starbucks, because the new CEO of Starbucks, which he comes from Chipotle, and he's the one who made Chipotle go like massive. And so they pulled him over, and he cut back on customization options. So you can't customize your drink as much. They reduce the amount of options on, alt milks and everything. So they've reduced a lot of that, mainly for efficiencies. So you're not having someone come in with some crazy insane order that's messing up their flow. And what I found interesting though is that although they're reducing customization on the customer side, so the customer's losing less check boxes to go through and change their thing, but they leaned heavily into the personalization of it by going, okay, we need to make sure we write the person's name on the cup. We need to make sure there's a little note. And sure, if you've gone to Starbucks lately, that you probably have noticed that the Sharpie use has increased. they're doing more Sharpie on the cups and more little notes.
I remember when they used to write on the cups. Now they went to a printed receipt that's like adhesive, and so the receipt with your name printed on the receipt or whatever the specs is, it's just slapped on the cup. And I after a while, I remember when they made that change, I was like, man, it was so cooler when it would be like, in this cool little penmanship, if it was a girl, girl writing with a little, smiley face next to your name or whatever. They're making it an enjoyable experience, right?
I got a couple phone numbers that way too.
Did you really?
The baristas would put their phone number on it, on like the lid.
Oh my goodness!
And so my point here is that, okay, customization versus personalization. Is there, in the wisdom of being a very, very expensive, multinational company CEO, is there wisdom in understanding reducing customization to increase personalization? Is there a better trade-off there to increase the value? And this is actually something you can implement with your business, is that a small step is just mentioning the person's name. And I think it's Jim Rohn, or maybe it was Carnegie, who said, a person's name is the most beautiful sound they can hear. And everyone loves to hear their own name. So that's why in emails, in communication, or even when someone orders your product, like putting a note inside and having the person's name on it is a huge step in the right direction, is that you're not only acknowledging them as another human being, instead of like, dear customer number 1196. It's like, no, hey, John, thank you for your order. Hey, Sally, thank you for ordering through us. It's putting that personalization on it will increase the value, but also it starts putting you down this path where it feels more customized. It feels more personalized to them and what they ordered.
I see that when I not so much when I order on eBay, but when I order on Etsy, because a lot of things on Etsy are a lot more, like handmade, right? Or they'll be like, oh, you want like this, and so you put down your options that you want. But I love when I get that, in particular with Etsy, they'll put in a little hand note.
Right.
And hey, Scott, thanks so much for your purchase, and thanks for supporting our business. That goes huge. That's a huge, for me at least, because I'm like, you took the time to do that. You didn't need to, but it makes me feel even more so. There's a Thai restaurant in town. Every time you order from them, they always end it with, thank you for selecting. We know you have options, right? They're not the only Thai restaurant in town. They acknowledge, I forget exactly how they phrase it, but they acknowledge the fact that how appreciative they are that we're choosing their restaurant when they know that we have options, we have other choices. Yeah. And that honest, sincere gratitude goes a huge way, because now I feel like I'm supporting this family. I'm supporting this business owner, and they're expressing their dire appreciation for my business. I'm more willing to come back. It's the ones where I feel like you don't care about me. It's just $1 to you. It's just a transaction. And when a brand can start expressing that this is more than a transaction, this means a lot to me. You're supporting my business, and that means a lot. That goes far.
Yeah, and that is an interesting point, because it's like they're taking that transaction and they're already leaning into that relationship. They're not even letting you really. It's not like you're customizing that, right? But they are personalizing their message to you and acknowledging you, but also going, no, there's a relationship here.
Yeah.
We both acknowledge each other, and we're appreciative of you. And that's always the best sales, is like when both sides of the table can say thank you. That's when you have a really good deal, right? It's like, thank you for making my food, and then thank you for
making it customer. Thank you for making it feel more better fit for me.
And so it's like, okay, in your business, if you can start using people's names and then adding some customs and being able to like custom options and giving them the kind of ability to have some ownership over what you have, right? It's like them being able to leave their fingerprints on it, them being able to co-create and be part of the process is huge, because it not only gives them ownership of it, but you're able to acknowledge kind of the different modes they may experience, or maybe the different kind of scenarios they're in, and you're able to tailor it more to them, right?
If you can't customize, if you can't personalize, the best thing you can do is help through your brand and through your messaging, position it that it is for their best. An example came to mind as you were talking just now of like going out to eat at a fine dining restaurant, right? Maybe it's a Michelin's restaurant, or they're on the Michelin Guide, right? And it's like, the plating is precise. Every nuance of that course or that meal has been prepared, well thought out. It's paired with a perfect wine, whatever it is, right? The chef who knows his stuff has done this. And you go out to eat at a restaurant, and if you go, oh, well, can he just swap out this for this? Or I don't really like that. Can you add something like that? The plate is the way it is because that's the way it was intended, because we have the expertise, because we have the craftsmanship, because we know what we're doing. The product is why this is, and it's sold as is. There is no customization. So being able to do that through your brand's messaging to help reinforce the maybe a level of expertise that your brand brings in this product or service can reinforce the times if you look at your business model and realize, I can't do any of this, guys, sorry. Yeah. Then at least address or look at how you're communicating to customers, reinforce. And it's not a matter of sorry, no customizations because we know what we're doing, you don't. It's more of positioning the brand so that already, like for instance, I don't have to be told at a restaurant, you know what, I'm not crazy about, I don't like saffron. Could they change the broth on that? Yeah. Right? In a fancy restaurant, right, where you don't normally make substitutions. I don't ask because the brand has signaled to me coming in that we're going to prepare for you something memorable. Just sit back and relax. We have an experience in store. Trust us. Yeah. They don't say trust us, but that's what's signaled by the brand. So then I'm able to take their product or service at face value 100% as offered without zero customization because I've been bought. I believe there's that brand stance that this is for the best for you.
Well, and that's part of what you're paying for in those experiences too.
Exactly.
Is that you're going there because on both sides of the spectrum, you do have, I want full control. I want to micromanage the process, and I want to squeeze this for every drop. That's like economic buyers. And then you have as the spectrum slides, you have to the very high end. It's a moment of surrender of going, no, I'm going to pay the top dollar. I'm surrendering my free will to you. Take me for the ride, right? It's like getting on a roller coaster and going, this thing was designed by some really smart people who are very creative. I know I'm going to enjoy this thing and I'm along for the ride. Or going to a movie or going to, even like a play or a theater. It's like you're surrendering to that experience and you are paying to watch experts do what they do, right? And that's kind of, like you said, that's part of the promise of them going, no, we designed this for you for this experience. Please enjoy. And some people, that's some people's thing and some people's not. It's just like it's part of it, but you wouldn't be going and going, no, I'm going to customize this. Yeah. But it is personalized to you, where then they can add, they know your name, they're addressing you, and there's some kind of nice touches, but it is definitely on the other side of kind of this experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually on that note, this reminds me of the whole time well spent concept, which is really, on the economic side of the spectrum, you have someone who spends money to hopefully save money. Then one rung up from that, you have someone who spends money to save time, right? This is someone who hires a nanny, hires landscapers. They're saving time by spending their money. Then you have someone who actually spends money to convert that to time well spent. And this is really the whole experience economy, where someone will spend more for a luxury vehicle or a luxury dining experience because they want their time well spent when they are driving or stuck in traffic, or for their dining experience and they have family or friends in town, they'd enjoy a nice time together, so they're spending a premium on that.
Yeah. So whether you're dark mode or light mode, if you look around and realize how much customization or personalization has impacted you as a consumer and the brands or the purchases you've made, where you've had options and the extra value that comes from that, that's really the main takeaway for today's topic.
Right. Yeah. And it's always keeping that in mind of just the relationship and that lifetime value of you pouring into that and making it that much more emotional for them and that much more of a connection where they can really just enjoy it.
Yeah. We do have, if you have a topic or a question or something you want to address to us that we could address in a later upcoming episode, we do have a form link, I believe, in the description for this episode that you can drop a little note to us and maybe bring up a topic that we can cover for you. As always, thanks guys so much for your time and choosing to listen to us over cocktails and about brand. So until next time, cheers.